What's up, team? Good morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you're watching this. Today, we're going to be moving on to percent problems. We're sticking with percents today, but everything we've worked on so far this week has been finding percent of a number. So, for example, I might have asked you, well, what is 30% of 100? And you would tell me, okay, well, 30% is a smaller percentage, so it's going to be a small amount of 100. So how do I find that? I'm not so sure. Turn the percent into a decimal and then multiply it by that number. So basically what happens is 30% is 30 out of 100, right? Because all percents are out of 100. And 30 hundredths as a decimal is 0.30. So if I take that and just multiply by this number over here, it should tell me what it is, right? And if I took 0.3 times this, 0.03, move my decimal over one spot, it's 30. 30% of 100 is 30. Again, quick refresher on how to find percentages. Well, today what we're going to talk about is what if I change it up a little bit and give you a different piece of information and have you find something else. I'm a little confusing right now. Let me explain. Let's say I ask you, for example, 10 is 10% of what number? What if I give you a question like this? And I say, I have 10 of something. Okay, for example, money works really well here. Like, I have $10 in my hand. But that is only 10% of all the money that I have. Let's say I have a bunch of money in the bank. But I have $10 in my hand, and I show you my $10 bill, and I said, this is only 10% of the money I have. Well, you would look at me and you would say, oh, well, that must mean you have a lot of money somewhere else, right? A lot of money in the bank, maybe some money at home. But the question is, how much money would I have total? If this $10 bill that I had I'd show you guys a $10 bill, but I'm a teacher, and we don't have a lot of money, so just pretend I'm holding money. So I have $10, and it represents 10% of my money, which means I got a bunch of money somewhere else. The question is, how much money do I have, and how do we figure that out? I'm going to show you, okay? And this is what we're going to do today. 10 is 10% of what number? Well, we know that we have the percentage, and all percentages can be represented as a fraction out of 100. That's a really cool thing about percentages, is that we can always predict what they're going to be. That's just 10 out of 100, right? That's 10%, right? Now, I have $10, and the $10 represents that 10%. So if I know about ratios and proportions, I can just set up a fraction equal to it. And if I know that my 10% is 10, then I know they're going to go on the top with each other, just like this. And all I have to do is figure out this bottom number right there. And given what we know about fractions and equivalent ratios, all I have to do is figure out what I did to this 10 to get to here, and I'll do the same thing to the 100 on the bottom here, and then I'll figure out what my answer is. So 10 times 1 is 10, and 100 times 1 is 100. So basically, if I told you that $10 bill I was holding was 10% of my money, that would mean I had $100 total, because 10% of 100 is $10. Okay, so let's take a look at a couple examples today. Let's take, for example, this one. And what this is called is a proportion, guys. When you set up two fractions equivalent to each other, it's called a proportion, also known as a ratio. So what we do is, we have a problem like this. 225 is 75% of what number? Well, 75% is a big percentage. So 225 of something, it's going to be actually not too much more than 225, right? So 75 is a big percentage. So what we do here, let's not overcomplicate it. 75%, all percents are out of 100. So we always put that as over 100. 75% is 75 over 100. The other fraction is where it gets a little tricky. The 225, is it the 75% or is it the whole? It's not the whole. We don't know how much total. We do know that 225 is the 75%. It literally says it. 225 is 75%. So we know that goes on top with the 75. All we got to do is figure out that guy right there. Okay? So if we take and find a way to get from 75 to 225 and do the same thing to the 100 on the bottom, then we'll get our answer. And that's how we solve these percent problems. And we've already done these types of problems before as far as like equivalent ratios. So let's figure out 75 times what is 225. Well, I know, and I'm going to help you out here, is 3, right? 75 times 3 gives me 225. So if I did the same thing to the bottom, times 3 here, this would be 300. So 225 is 75% of what number? It's 300. Now, just to give you an idea of how this kind of works with what we were doing earlier in the week is, I might have asked you a question and said 75% of 300 is what? Right? And now we know, based on this problem up here, that 75% of 300 would be 225, because that's what we just figured out. It's just the other way around, right? It's like, instead of the types of problems you were doing before, I'm actually hiding this right here and saying 75% of what is 225, and we're trying to figure out this missing piece of information as opposed to this missing piece of information, okay? This one, I want you guys to try on your own real quick. See if you could set it up correctly by setting up a proportion just like this, right? Where we know one of those is going to be over 100 because one of those is going to be the percent, and see if you can figure out the answer. Pause the video now, solve it. Hopefully you're back, and let's see if you got it right. 75 is 15%. So this is my percentage. So I know that's going to be a fraction over 100. So I'm just going to go 15 over 100. Okay, that's my percentage. And 75 is 15%. So I know that's going to go right on top of the 15. All I need to do is figure out that information right there. Okay, so now 15 gets to 75 by multiplying by 5. And 100 will be multiplied by 5 as well to keep this equivalent, keep it proportional. And 100 times 5 is 500. So the answer to this problem is 500. Next one. 95 is 95% of what number? Go ahead and try this one on your own. Okay. Set up my proportions real quick. 95 is 95%, so 95%, I know that's out of 100, so it's 95 out of 100. It's going to be equivalent to 95 is the 95%. Now all I got to do is find a way to get here and do the same thing to the bottom. Well, that's easy. It's just times 1 times here. Well, 95 is 95% of 100. That's what that is. One more practice problem here, guys, and I'm going to give you some to try on your own. Okay, 9 is 36% of what number? Well, 36% is a little bit less than half. So I would say maybe like 25 or something like that. Like if I were to guess, like 9 out of 25 or something, would that be 36%? Like imagine that was your test and you got 9 questions right. Out of 25 of them, maybe, because that's less than half, right? A little bit less than half of the questions. Half would be like 12. So I'm gonna guess, maybe. I don't know. Let's figure it out. Let's go ahead and set up our proportion here. 36% is just 36 out of 100. I know that 9 is the 36%, so I'm gonna put the 9 right up top. All I gotta do is figure out this guy right here. Huh. Well, 36 is a multiple of 9, so 36 divided by 4 is 9. So if I take 100 and divide it by 4, oh, check it out! It is 25! I promise I didn't know that. I'm just super duper smart is all. So get used to it, team. Okay, you get good at this stuff, you'd be like me, sitting in here yelling at a camera. Do your assignment! I'll see you guys tomorrow.